And we're back, and hopefully everything's gonna be great. So, let's see. And just waiting. And Milo's already making noise. Do I speak Spanish? No, I do not. Fortunately, I do not speak any other language, which makes me sad. Yay! That was weird looking. Yay!
What's up? How you doing?
Damn, I'm sorry. That was very annoying and inconvenient.
Hey, it happens. In life, things happen outside of your control, you know?
I
Just got to do the
know.
best with what you got.
I know. How are you?
I'm good. So let me tell you about my morning.
Please.
I did something I never do. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, why did you do that?
So I live in Arizona and it's
Okay.
hot in the summertime.
Right.
And the gyms are closed because of COVID. And I love working out and I can't go to the gym.
Can't
So I
relate.
figured I got to get up in the morning. So I went on a really nice bike ride, and then my best friend he met me at the lake, and we went for like a nice walk. So it
Wow.
was a great morning,
Wow. That's the most productive morning anyone could have. I haven't done anything
right?
like that ever.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to continue it. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I wake up early sometimes to walk my dog because it's really hot in the valley in LA
Hmm.
right now. But other than that, I'm not waking up early.
Hmm.
Hate waking up early. Well, thank you again for coming on here. I've been a fan of yours for over a year now. I bought one of your books online. I don't remember. I feel like someone sent me a post of yours or something, and I was like, clicked on your Instagram, and I was like, wow, I really love what this guy's got to say. So I bought
Thank
one of
you.
your
Thank you.
books, and yeah, and of course, and I would bring it with me to work on set on my show, um, and yeah,
Which
and
book
so
did you get?
free your energy.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Is that what it's
yeah.
called? Did I
Yep,
mess up?
yep. Nope,
Okay, cool.
you got it.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think so. I would suggest everyone watching to check out your books, obviously, if they like this live. Um, but I think right now it's important to be obviously spreading messages of positivity and kind of, I think just the discussion in general about, I don't know what you would call it, I guess talking about working on yourself, I'm not very articulate this morning, but like everything that you do, everything that you talk about is so important to be focusing on right now when the world is at this very critical point in this weird kind of frozen in time situation because of COVID. Um, and I keep saying, if you're not using this time to your advantage, you're wasting it. Like, this is the perfect time to really reflect. And for me personally, i I kind of, things took off in my career and in my life around 4 years ago, and I never really had a significant amount of time to just process everything and process fame and my kind of new world that I am living in. And it's been a very important time for me the past 4 months to just process things. And I think I mean, I've been going to therapy every single week, or not going to therapy, doing my online therapy every week, and reading self-help books and looking into like some solo retreats that I can go on, COVID safe retreats,
Right.
really just for mental health. And I think so many of us so many people who haven't really struggled with mental health issues are now struggling because of just the environment that we're living in right now, high stress, not making money, whatever the case may be. And so I think now's the perfect time to have someone like you on here who just kind of spreads beautiful messages to people who probably very much need to hear it, including me.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity
Of course.
to share, to create. You said something that made me think of my childhood, actually. You were talking about processing, how
Mm,
the last 4 years have been different for you. And you're in this space where you're trying to process, you're trying to understand, you're trying to get what's going on. And so I figured maybe I should tell the story of how I became a writer.
please.
I feel like it'd be a valuable story, especially for one, anybody who feels like that, and then two, especially like the young children that may follow you, the teenagers, the children that may follow you, because I realized when I was young, right? So what happened is I grew up with two alcoholic parents. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. Both my parents, when I was young, like under the age of 6, they were always there. I mean, it was a lot of fun, a lot of love. They were always there. It was healthy, two-parent household.
Mm,
Mom was feminine energy, dad was, masculine energy. It was like a perfect mix. But what ended up happening is as brother and sister came in, they didn't really have the foundation and the structure for all of us.
mm,
And then my father, he got a DUI. Now the DUI, it is the epicenter of a lot of trauma and pain that I personally went through. Um, it's kind of like the domino effect. He gets the DUI. So now my mother had to leave her job. So she left her job. So we had dual income. Now we go to single income. She leaves her job and now she drives him to and from work and kind of does uh, like the housewife type of role.
mm,
Um, for my mother, she was an administrative assistant, very intelligent woman, very articulate, very good with words. To this day, I feel like her leaving her role created like a vacancy inside of her. It created like a void. And then my father getting that DUI, I feel like he dealt with a lot of guilt and he dealt with a lot of shame and he
yeah,
dealt with a lot of I'm letting people down.
yeah.
Though the things I just mentioned are things that I write about, things I talk about and help people through my books.
Mm,
And so what ended up happening is they were not emotionally available,
yeah,
right? They weren't available for me to share, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's happening at school. A lot of kids go through that, because they're a lot of teenagers go through that. Even as adults, we still go through that with our parents, where, parents are not there for us.
yeah,
And what happens is if you have that experience in your childhood and then you never introspect, you never heal, you never kind of fix those wounds, what happens is you recreate those relationships in your adulthood. So what
yeah,
I see when I look at a lot of my adult peers, I see
mm,
a lot of my adult peers recreating the relationships they had with their parents.
yeah,
And what I didn't want to do that. As soon as I was a young kid, I could realize like, wow, this doesn't actually feel good. This
yeah,
this doesn't align with me. And I was searching for answers. I was trying to process, like you say, like I was trying to process what was going on. So I was the type of kid who I didn't like riding the bus home from school because you got to think about it. You're at school all day with other kids, and then I have a younger brother and sister, mother and father. So now I'm at home with them. I had no alone time. I had no time for myself. And so I realized that if I just walked home and didn't get on the
mm,
bus, I could
yeah,
be by myself to think, to process. And that's the first, anybody listening, that's the first thing that I need you to do for yourself is you have to find alone time. And when I say alone time, I don't mean let me sit on my phone and scroll Twitter and scroll Instagram by myself. I mean, no phone, no internet, no video games, no friends. And I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying find these pockets where you can literally sit with yourself, where you can feel yourself, where you can turn your intuition on, where you can allow your thoughts to just flow. Because when you give yourself that healing space to just sit and just to breathe, to hear your own breath, you heal, you naturally process.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when we're trying to process things, we're thinking about it, but you don't necessarily have to. You just got to sit and pause and just allow your body to do what it's going to do. Allow it to feel, allow it to think. You don't have to think about thinking. We automatically think, right? So you don't have to think. That's overthinking. You don't have to do that. You just let yourself do it. Let your thoughts flow. So I learned that process when I was young. I was walking home and I went into 7-Eleven and I really had all these thoughts in my head about, why is my mom this way? Why is my father this way? Why do girls in school act this way? Why does this teacher give us so much homework? Like, I just had all these thoughts about my world, but I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a friend I could vent to. I didn't have anyone I could just share everything with. And that's another thing that you have right now is you have people not being able to be vulnerable with how they feel, how they think, or what's going on in their world. So they're just keeping it all inward, inside. So I went to this 7-Eleven and I'm a kid. I don't have any money, but I saw a notebook. So I said, oh man, I need that notebook. So there were some other kids like at the end of the aisle, and it was a bunch of kids and they were making noise. And I'm like this quiet kid. So I stole the notebook. I just slipped it in my backpack. I didn't have any money, but I needed that notebook. So I get home with my stolen notebook. And my parents didn't have a bunch of money like that. I could have, they had money, I could have asked them for extra things, but I also didn't want them to know, because like I said, I couldn't share with them. I couldn't vent to them. So I didn't want them to know that I needed another notebook. So to me, I look at that as a survival technique. And I think when you look on your life, you'll see that there's a lot of survival techniques that we do. And it's very important that you pinpoint like, okay, this is a survival technique. Why did I do that? I stole that notebook because I needed to get these ideas out of my head.
Yeah.
So I went home, closed the door, and I got out my pen, and I just started writing. I started writing stories. I started drawing. I started doing poetry. Then it evolved to I started listening to my parents talk. And I would listen to my mom on the phone, and I would take notes. I would take notes about her tone of voice, who she was talking to, how many words she was using. Sometimes my father, he was a super smart dude. He was United States Army. So when he would talk, he was very authoritative. He was very direct. He was also a chef. He was a head chef. So I would write down things that he would say. I was literally just like studying communication. And as a kid, like my passion for communication and understanding self, it was born out of that. It was born out of, hey, I need to process what's going on around me. So I stole the notebook and then I used it to my advantage. And I wrote on the front and back every page of the notebook. So that's how I became a writer. It was out of that desperation to process my own thoughts and my own feelings.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable that you were so young and able to make the conscious decision, like, I need to process my thoughts. That's very quite remarkable, I feel. And what you were saying about, I wholeheartedly agree. I think people are afraid to be bored, because no one I mean, the idea of sitting alone with yourself and your thoughts is scary. And I think I've said this before in another live, it's kind of like, all the baggage, all the trauma, wounds, everything kind of bad stuck in your head. I kind of envision it as like a little box in the corner of your mind. It's like in an empty attic and it's very ominous and it's sitting there and you kind of like avoid looking at it and avoid going into it because you don't want to deal with all the stuff that's inside it. But how vital it is for us to have the time to sort through our own wounds dreams and trauma. And it's almost, you know, it's sad when I find that some people can't be bored. You know, there's definitely some people who don't allow themselves that alone time. They drink, they do drugs, they go out all the time, they party, they're constantly with people because they can't sit with their own inner thoughts and their own voids that they have. And it's interesting because, you know, it's like the longer you push it off, you're creating such a temporary happiness for yourself. And I kind of look at it as like you're kind of just chasing these highs, these moments that make you forget about your trauma and your emotional void. You know, when you're doing drugs or drinking or with people, yeah, you're not thinking about your own shit. So, you know, the more you keep distracting yourself, the bigger the void gets. And at the end of the day, the void is still there. It's just waiting for you at the end of the day. And so I've very much been, like I said, just trying to take full advantage of this very rare time where I don't have much to do and deal with my own little box of trauma in the back of my head that I wouldn't normally ever want to sift through, you know. And I'm fortunate enough that I can have therapy every week, and I can, you know, outsource for, you know, certain methods of healing like Reiki or something like that maybe a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do. But I mean, what would you say to someone who, I think a lot of young people are maybe experiencing depression and anxiety for the first time, and they don't really know where it's coming from. And I think it's scary to a lot of people who are just now experiencing these things for the first time, and they don't have an outlet. Maybe they don't have supportive parents, they don't have supportive family to listen. And I know it's a challenging question, but I mean, what would you say to those people?
Yeah, so
yeah.
you may not have supportive parents. You may not have a million challenging friends, but you always have yourself. Like, we have to graduate our mindset to, I am my best friend, right? And that's not to be narcissistic.
No.
That's to be aware of the power that you hold. The power that you hold right here in your brain is, you know what? I have a choice. You know, I even wrote this down. I took some notes before here. I have a choice, right? One of the main things that I talk about in my work is choice, the power of choice. Now, you can't choose every single thing in life, but you can choose a lot. And what a lot of people do is they give their choices away. They disable their ability to make choices. And when you disable your ability to make choices, you make yourself smaller. You're no longer your best friend. You become your own enemy.
Yeah.
And what we have to do is we have to make choices that help us in whatever it is we're trying to do. So if a person is, you know, dealing with stress or dealing with depression, I've been there before, numerous times. You don't want to tell someone who's dealing with depression or stress, oh, just get over it, because that's not, it's not compassionate to their journey. Yeah. Just like when I was personally dealing with depression, I never told myself, oh, I just need to get over this. I would never tell myself that, because I am my own best friend. So as my own best friend, what would I want my best friend to say? Well, I would want my best friend to listen to me. I would want my best friend to say, well, what's going on? But I also will want my best friend to give me ideas, suggestions, and push me to get to my highest vibration. So I have to, what I expect from my best friend outside of me, I have to expect from myself. So what I talked about earlier was healing mechanisms. One healing mechanism that I personally have used since I was 12 years old, since I stole that notebook, was journaling. Yeah. Journaling is free. Journaling is, well, you know, it costs time, it costs effort, but it doesn't cost you any money. Right. So you get your pen, you get your pen, you get your pencil, and you write. And then people always say, well, what do I write? You write whatever you want. Actually, you don't even have to write. You could just draw. You could doodle. Because what happens is when you write, when you draw, when you color, you allow your mind to get in a meditative state. When you get in a meditative state, you're not overly thinking. You're naturally processing your world.
Wow.
You're naturally allowing yourself to calm down. You're making a better mind to body connection with all the words that you draw, that you write, that you type.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're dealing with stress, anxiety, depression, one, I'm never going to tell you to get over it. No one should just say, "Oh, get over it." That's not fair to your journey. But as your own best friend, you have a duty to yourself to find healing mechanisms. Sometimes they're called coping mechanisms that fit your lifestyle. For me, I was fortunate. I was an athlete my whole life. I played high school football and track. I walked on to my college football team, and then I played 3 years of professional arena football. And when I left football, I've always stayed active. I hike, I go for walks, I ride my bike, I lift, I do some yoga, mobility work. So there's so many options available from a physical fitness standpoint that you have to find what works for you. Swimming, walking. A lot of people neglect walking. Walking is powerful. Just a 2-3 mile walk, just walking for an hour, unless you clear your mind, unless you get your body moving. So what I really think, we have to look at ourselves the way a coach is going to look at playing another team, right? What a coach is going to do is they're going to scout the other team to see what they do well, what they don't do. They're going to be very aware of what we have on our team, and then they're going to devise a game plan. And that's what my books are. That's what my courses are. But you don't necessarily just need my books. Like the stuff I just told you is available. Like working out is free. Journaling is free. So what we have to do as our own best friend, like as our own coach, in my opinion, is we got to find what game plan is going to work for us.
Yeah.
I like lifting weights. That might not work for you.
Right.
I have a friend who runs 10 miles every other day. That's not going to work for me.
Right. Not going to work for me either.
That's not going to work for me. So we like that goes back to choice. Like we have choices available to us, but we have to just say, okay, well, what's available? Another thing is your environment. Sometimes your environment is the only thing wrong with you. Sometimes it's the people you live with, or it's the school you go to, or it's sometimes the country you're in, or it's just the neighborhood you're in, or you're choosing to work somewhere in an environment that's killing your soul, is killing your creativity, your happiness. Sometimes it's nothing wrong with us. We're just in the wrong environments, and we just have to choose different environments. Like for example, we were talking about how it's hot here in Arizona. That's actually in the summertime, that's actually a challenge for me because I do like being outside. The other 9 months, but in the summer, I find those challenges where I'm like, well, can I get out today? Can I do this? Can I do that? COVID shut everything down. So for me, it's mentally challenging that I'm not moving as much as I like.
Yeah.
So I have options though. Like I said, I have choice. Like, do I have to be in Arizona? I don't. Yeah, I have a lease here. I have a place here, but do I have to be here? No, I don't have to be here. I'm choosing to be here. So I'm choosing this environment. So I'm choosing how this environment enables me or disables me. And that's what I want people to realize is like you're in most situations choosing your environment. So if the environment's not conducive to where you want to go or who you want to be, remember you have a choice. Like, let me make different choices. Let me choose a different environment and at least see. Like if I'm in an environment and it sucks being in this environment, and a lot of people have fear of change. Like, oh, well, I don't want to go to this new environment because, well, what if, da, 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 da. No, don't do that. Don't overthink about this new environment because you told me the environment you're in sucks. So do you want to suffer? No, you don't want to suffer. So that new environment, you should at least give it a try. Because if what you're doing sucks, that over there might be better.
Sure.
And so that that mindset is what helped me move away from home. Like I grew up in Chicago, and the environment there, in my opinion, was not conducive to me healing from the pain that I experienced. It wasn't conducive to me becoming who I wanted to become. So I had to leave. I had to find a new environment. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. That's at least that's what I think, in my opinion.
No, it definitely did. I think I mean, it can get a little tricky. Like when I was in middle school, I hated school when I was in high school as well. I really struggled during school. And obviously I couldn't escape that situation. I didn't have a choice necessarily, but I could choose how I went about my day. I think so for example, I started getting panic attacks when I was in eighth grade. So I think I was 13. Um, and, and every day in my eighth grade year, I would cry in the morning. I would pretend to be sick to my mom. I did not want to go to school. I did
Didn't
everything in
want to
my
go.
power to not go to school. I hated it. It caused me so much anxiety.
What was it about school that you didn't like?
Honestly, it's interesting. I from a young age knew that I really wanted to be an actor, and I was doing theater at the time,
Mm,
and hanging like doing my rehearsals for theater and hanging around with those people, like these artsy people who were like me,
right.
and having to go to school the next day with people that I feel that I didn't relate to. I felt more mature than them. I felt just very like kind of an alien to them. um, I felt just very out of place,
Yep.
and I wasn't being bullied. I it was very hard for my parents to understand why I hated school so much, because there was no like physical bullying. There was no factors that I could point to and be like, this is it, this is why. And so it was really hard for me to express every morning when I was crying to my mom saying, please let me stay home, let me be homeschooled.
Right.
She didn't understand, and I don't blame her for not understanding. It was truly just, it was anxiety like manifested, and I sort
Yep.
of um, I really let it consume me. I
Mm.
Because it's kind of like it became a routine where every morning I was like, well, here it is again, like, and it kind of took towards the end of my eighth grade year to really like change my mindset. Whereas like, I would wake up and be like, okay, let's get through another day. That's what it became, rather than, oh God, another day of school. It became, let's get through it, and let's just go through the motions if I need to. I don't need to exert myself today. If I don't feel mentally okay, I can like pull myself back a little bit. I can take a back seat if I need to. Like, it kind of just became, I made a conscious choice to change my outlook on it, because obviously I didn't enjoy waking up every day feeling miserable and feeling this daunting, looming middle school that I had to go to.
Right.
Um, and so, I think in some ways, your environment, it's tricky for younger people who can't
Right.
get out of their
Right.
environment.
Right.
But I think it's a matter of trying to shift your viewpoint, and maybe looking at the macro. And that's what I would do. I would be like, okay, yeah, today sucks, but like pulling back into an aerial view, looking down on everything, I'm gonna get through it. Like, there's the end of the week, there's the end of the month, there's the end of the semester, there's the end of the year. Like, I'm gonna get to these points, and it's just, yeah.
Another good question. I mean, I hated school as well. Like I hated. I didn't like the idea of getting up early to go sit all day. It felt like all day. The sun was out. I'm just in this building. Like I didn't like that. Um, but the question that for anyone who may be in that situation is two things. One, why? Like, why am I feeling this way? Like, what is causing this? Like, what is caused? Sometimes people hate school because they don't have friends. So if you don't have friends, I think the solution is I need to try to make friends. It might be difficult because I have not tried to make friends, but again, that situation over there wasn't good. So let me try that situation over there. And
Yeah.
that was one of my things. When I got to high school, I was very introverted, very quiet, very to myself. But I was also upset that I didn't have friends, that I didn't have cliques, that I didn't have people to hang out with. I was very like judgmental of everyone, like, oh, they got their friends over there. And my whole freshman year, I suffered because I chose not to step outside of myself.
Yeah.
Then my sophomore year of high school, once I said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm making friends. Like I went out for the football team. I just started talking to random people at lunch. I started just walking up to tables like, hey, is anyone sitting here? Nope. Okay, I'm sitting here. And I just kind of started putting myself out there more. Now by, the end of sophomore year, junior year, senior year, I have a whole bunch of friends. So then it's like when I look back freshman year, I hated it because I didn't come out of my shell,
Yeah.
So that's another thing is like some of the things we stress ourselves out about is so temporary.
Yeah.
Like it's so small. It's not even a big deal. And that's not to downplay what we go through or discredit it, but sometimes things just aren't that big of a deal, but we make them so big. We make them matter more than they really matter. My last name is McNutt. That's my real name, McNutt. People used to try to make fun of my name all the time when I was a kid. And so at first it's like, oh wow, they're making fun of me. This is not fun.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, my name is not changing. And people are gonna keep making fun of me. So I need to get smart enough to figure out how to make fun of them back. Because I'm not about to just take it. So
Yeah.
then, like, I became that person in school. You wouldn't talk about me because, I got the writer mind. So I'm like, I just have jokes and jokes and jokes ready to go.
Nice.
So it's like so much of it is how you choose to adapt to the
Yeah.
situation. Choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, and something that came to my mind when you were saying that is I I was talking to a friend the other day who was kind of questioning, a lot of cerebral conversations during this time with my friends, which is great. But so
Mm-hmm.
my friend was saying, I don't know if I chose the right path for myself. I don't feel like this was what I was supposed to
Mm.
do. I have this other life that I could have chosen. And I kind of had to be like, I hear you, like I completely get it, but also this may be one of those grass is greener scenarios, in the sense that like
Mm.
if you had chosen that path, I'm sure at one point you would have sat back and gone, well, maybe I should have chose that other path. And it's like, I kind of feel like, and I don't know why this, you saying that made me think of that. It kind of just made me think about my conversation I had the other day. But I think there's a lot of, when you look inward, it can be scary because you can question everything. Question yourself, question your life, question your decisions, everything. And I think it's interesting to kind of remind yourself, like you said, like sometimes we stress about things. I stress myself out all the time. I'll have a simple task, very simple task to do, but I don't want to do it. Say going to the post office. Like I really don't want to drive to the post office. It gives me anxiety because I don't want to have to leave my dog. I don't want to have to deal with going out in public. I don't want to do the mask thing. Well, I would, but like I don't want to put myself in like a stressful environment, and I get myself hyped up about very dumb things. And I think it's interesting to kind of, I do that all the time. I remind myself, I'm like, why the hell are you stressing yourself out about going to the damn post office? Like it is all a matter of perspective, I think. And if you're sitting back during this time and thinking, oh man, like if I make the right decisions, I truly believe that I'm of the mindset that everything happens for a reason. And 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 I don't know if, like I don't have the answer. If I had chosen to be a paramedic rather than an actress, because that was something that I was considering at one point, would I be a happier human being? I don't know, but this is the path that I'm on. So it's almost not worth stressing myself out about thinking, oh man, like what are these other paths I could have taken? It's like, I'm here now. This is the path that I chose. I need to make I need to, this is my life. This is what I chose. And I'm incredibly grateful for my life and the path that I chose. And I don't want to sit here and think, oh, the grass is greener, because I'm sure if I were over there, I'd be thinking the same thing. Um,
Look, it's
that was my
problems
little
everywhere
tangent.
you
Just like,
go. It's problems
yeah,
everywhere you go. So, you know, you made me you made me think about something. Do you have music that you put it on and you just start, you start dancing, you start jamming, you start feeling really
yeah,
good?
for sure.
Okay. So whenever you get in that mood where you're like, man, I don't want to go to the post office, this damn mask, these people, the sun, put that playlist on, jam out, and you won't think about it at all. You
Yeah,
won't even think about it at all. You'll hype yourself up and you'll go. And what that is a healing mechanism. You do that 10 times, you won't need it anymore.
yeah,
Because you now mentally trained yourself like, all right, I'm going to the post office. I'm good. One thing, my book, Lust for Life, one thing I talk to people about is there are certain, I just wrote about this yesterday. There are, here, I'm going to read you something.
please.
I wrote this yesterday and you just jogged my memory. So I'm just going to read it word for word.
Yeah.
Let me just pull it up. It aligns with what you just said so perfectly. Okay, here we go. It says, I'm indifferent on a lot of issues, and I'm overly passionate about a few. I don't like wasting energy on things that don't serve me. I love going all in on things that do. I just noticed that that rhymes.
Yeah, it's a very
I'm
poetic.
I'm indifferent on a lot of issues, and I'm overly passionate about a few. I don't like wasting energy on things that don't serve me. I love going all in on things that do. And I wrote that last night. And I feel like if more people would take that type of mindset, I feel like there just would be so much more happiness. See, there's this thing in psychology, I believe it's a psychology thing called channel capacity. Channel capacity is how much energy you can handle in a particular field. I think they also use it in like electricity when they're talking about like electric currents. Channel capacity is you're an actress. There is there are people who couldn't handle being on set. They couldn't handle the lights. They couldn't handle the director. They couldn't handle working with another person, trying to create emotion, trying to create a scene. They couldn't handle trying to remember the lines and then
Mhm.
trying to act out an emotion. It's certain people who couldn't do it. They don't have like the capacity for it. Like for example, when you release, a new show or you do a new movie, pre-COVID times, and you go to the red carpet. You got to get all dressed up and do your photos and shake hands. It's some people who genuinely can't handle that.
Yeah.
Just like it's some people who don't want to go to the club because it's loud. It's loud. You're getting bumped by all these people. People, are sweaty, can't get a drink. Some people would rather go to like a hole in the wall bar. But then there's some
Mhm.
people who are like, oh, I'm not going to hole in the wall bar because then I have to like sit and talk to people. So it's like throughout life, we have all these different like capacities for
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
And I just feel like one of the ways, you heal yourself, one of the ways you give yourself success is to realize like, I don't have energy for everything.
Yeah.
There's people in my family I don't have energy for. So I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to fake it. I
Yeah.
don't have energy for you. I don't. You're draining. You're toxic. You're low vibrational. But these family members, oh, I love them. I have energy for them all day. So what I mean by that is it says I'm indifferent on a lot of issues and I'm overly passionate about few. There are certain things you could bring up to me and I'm genuinely going to say, I don't care that much. I honestly. And that's what indifference is. It's, I don't have an opinion. It's fine. We don't always have to have an opinion. We don't always have to have a thought. We don't always have to have feedback. One of the
Mm,
ways you free your energy is you just observe things. You can just observe, like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm in school and my teacher decided to give me another pop quiz after she just gave us one 2 days ago. You don't have to have an emotion about it. You don't have to grade it. You don't have to say, well, this sucks. Someone can tweet something that about you that they didn't like your show. They didn't like my book. Okay,
yeah.
cool. And when you tap into indifference, it allows you to be more passionate. When you when you tap into indifference, it allows you to be more passionate. Now I got a lot more energy for the
Yeah.
things that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, because you're just wasting your energy on things that don't warrant your energy.
You being upset about going to the post office is not worth your energy. And it's
Right.
not even worth it. So it's like, let's find those little pockets in our life where we're essentially wasting our energy. Let's be indifferent about it. Now we got more energy for what we're passionate about.
Yeah. I love that. That's so true. It seems so simple when you put it that way. It seems simple when you put it that way. Look, I have my return labels for my post office sitting next to me, haunting
Make
me.
Put that playlist on and make it happen.
I know. I might, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I do have to go to therapy now in a couple minutes for my weekly session.
Nice.
But I mean, I obviously would love to continue talking to you and have
Yeah,
you on here again if you're down for it.
of course.
Um, I love everything you have to say. I think, and we could talk for hours.
We
So,
can.
again, I mean, I so appreciate you taking the time out of your day to just spread these good messages that people need to hear. And I'm just very appreciative of it and your time. And like I
For
said, I
sure.
was a fan of
Last thing I
yours.
want to say.
Or yeah, go for it.
Last thing I want to say before our next session. I just feel like I don't need all the solutions personally. When I just think about my own life, I don't need all the answers. I don't need all the solutions. I don't need to understand everything. I feel like I live my best life when I allow myself to have fun, when I allow myself to pursue things that I'm passionate about, when I allow myself to practice my skills, different things that I'm skillful at. I feel like I have my best life when I try to be around good people and have conversation and just kind of let myself be myself instead of thinking about, oh, I can't say this, I can't be that way. No, I'm just gonna be myself. And I
Yeah.
just feel like when you do that, you just align with the right people. It's not about, this person has so much money or followers. It's not about any of that stuff. I just feel like so many people are focused on the wrong things. They're grading themselves so much. They're grading who other people are, what other people can do for them. Be yourself. Practice being yourself. Practice having fun. This life is not guaranteed. You don't know when it's going to be over. So for me, I ask myself, do I want to be a person that's stressed out, that's super serious, that is that holds myself back from my own greatness? I don't. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy life. I want to practice my skills, my passions. I want to experience things. And that's what I try to wake up every day with that mindset. So I just hope anyone listening can maybe take whatever feels right for them, can just take that and just run with it for their own life.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. Very well said.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much, Sylvester. I really I'm so grateful. Thank you. What a beautiful way to start my day before I have to run errands and clean my house.
Well, you enjoy your therapy session, and I'll talk with you soon.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.